Hey guys, just a quick little upload talking about plasma gun today. I got a lot of questions in my DMs and comments about this weapon and why I feel certain ways about the perks, blessings, etc. Why I prioritize certain things. So I thought I'd make a video talking about it. I will say out the gate that I don't think anything really matters for optimization on this weapon other than gets hot, because you're getting crits so reliably if you're optimally playing within like dangerous para levels. With this weapon, you know, your breakpoints are getting directly affected by crits, and you're one-shotting most things anyways with left clicks, if not two-shotting them at the most, other than maybe bulwarks. So, you know, with that being said, I think that keep in mind this level of optimization on this weapon is very minimal, and it's not going to affect your game too much. And if something else is more consistent for you, please use it. And if I'm wrong on anything, please let me know. I don't use this weapon that much, and I've only done a few hours of testing across the board. So anyway, perks. Why are we using flak? We're using flak because it affects the most enemies. It leads to the most ease of use one-shots on body with crits or without crit on certain enemies. And then simultaneously for the head, there are certain enemies that you get one-shots with flak armored on weak spot hits that you normally wouldn't or sometimes can't. So, you know, it's just kind of a no-brainer in my opinion. Why do we not run Carapace? And this is a big conversation. Like the thing I see most often is flat Carapace or Carapace Unyielding, whatever it might be. Some people do Maniac, by the way. Don't do that. Like, to get a meaningful breakpoint on these guys, you have to hit a crit or you have to hit head with a bunch of buffs anyways, even with Maniac. And you shouldn't be shooting into mutants really anyways, unless you want to stun them with hitting their weak point. But for Crushers, you know, with focus target at 0%, like no buffs, nothing, you're one-shotting these guys without a crit a majority of the time anyways, if you're hitting head. So I don't see like a point in adding Carapace. The other enemy that is affected by Carapace is Maulers, but because of how Plasma Gun works, it's actually kind of hard to hit Carapace on them. Most of the time you're hitting flak armored. Like even if you're aiming for head, like you can aim a little bit higher and get it a little more reliable, but like you see how high I'm aiming there. You know, it's pretty unreliable. To people who are going to say to me, well, you can't hit flak or Carapace on them ever, you definitely can. It's just because of the hitbox. I might not be able to replicate it. It depends how they fall. But it is replicatable. There you go. You got a Carapace armored. Like, if you hit them at the right angle where it's less likely that the blast hits their chest before their head, you are going to get a Carapace on them. But doing so while they're standing is, you know, not really... I don't even know that it's maybe even possible. Anyways, the point is that it's not really worth taking Carapace because it's only affecting one enemy that you get a one-shot breakpoint by charging anyways, which is what you should be doing for Crushers. The one conversation that could be had is you get more reliable two-shot breakpoints without crits and a bunch of buffs on Crushers by taking Carapace. But like, you know, when you're high peril or whatever, because you should mostly be surfing around like 70 to 100%, right? Even like 65 to 100% depending on your situation. You know, with crits, you're getting two shots on them anyways. That would have been a two-shot. This is what I was talking about. Like without crits, you get a more reliable two-shot. But with a little bit better buffs too, I would have gotten the same thing. You know, with a crit, you're going to be able to like high roll into a two-shot like that, right? And I think if you're playing at high peril and you want to make the argument that that's like something you want to do and you try to go for that high roll like above 70, I think that's totally fine instead of doing charge shots. Charge shots are more reliable though, and you're going to one-shot them regardless of any percentage, so I think it's just a more reliable way of dealing with them. Crushers often also like are in the front, so like a lot of the time you can like initiate a firefight by one-shotting a couple Crushers with this, and then, you know, you're at like 66, you shoot into whatever the horde is. Pretty good, pretty reliable. Unyielding just gives us more boss damage, and it also gives us a couple... I don't know that it actually, you know, gives us a full breakpoint on Reapers for one-shot heads. Let's see, actually. Hold on. Let's see. That didn't one-shot head. Majority of the time it does. Yeah. You might actually have to be at your 5-stack. Okay, so we're at 4. Yeah, I think you might actually have to be at 5-stack. It's kind of unfortunate. Let's drop to 4. So it looks like either you need 5-stack with Gets Hot Rising Heat, or you need 5 stacks of Focus Target plus your 8-stack damage buff to one-shot them with left clicks, but it seems relatively reliable, honestly. Like pretty reliable. Something to keep in mind, at least. It also results usually in like 1 to 2 shots less on bulwarks, depending on your buffs and everything like that. I think for me personally, though, like bulwarks, a lot of people are like, oh, it's so good because you can shoot through to bulwarks. That is true, it is really good, but you're also playing shout vet. Like a majority of the time, if you have a bunch of bulwarks in front of you, shouting and just doing this really quick is just like so fast. Or like they swing and you special action and you knock them back. That's also an option. You have grenades too to push them forward. I think unless you're like getting encroached on by a bulwark stack or your teammate is struggling with a bulwark stack in front of you or whatever, it's usually better to use your melee for dealing with them. But like obviously ease of use, this is like super easy, and if you want to do that, that's fine. Obviously, I think that's totally fair. Yeah, that's a 5. That's pretty bad. But again, you're not going to be at that para level anyways most of the time. You're not starting at 0. Like you should be about there. And if you get the 2 crits, which is actually pretty reliable with the crit percentage that you have with this weapon, you're gonna get like a 3-shot breakpoint a majority of the time. If you also have like fully stacked uncanny, that becomes a 2-shot breakpoint pretty reliably too. So that's why we take what we take on it. Overall, talking about Rising Heat and why I think it is preferable for me personally to Blaze Away, I know a lot of people look at this and they immediately go, but 20% lower than 40%. Yes, 20% is lower than 40%. In reality, it's even worse than that, actually, because it rests mostly at 16%, because unless you're in, like, critical peril zone, you can see below, it's like 90, right? So you get like 1 shot really with this most of the time. Sometimes you can get 2, get like a weird peril percentage, but most of the time it's sitting at 16%. Why do I think that this is preferable to Blaze Away? I think this is preferable to Blaze Away because the majority of the time the way you're using this weapon is at high peril anyways, where you're only getting like 2-3 shots off anyhow. This is equalative off the bat at high or optimal heat levels to 2 Blaze Away stacks. If not, it's sitting at 12 or 6. Yes, 12. Sorry, my brain's not working today. And honestly, like that little bit of strength scaling, even at 12 to 16, ends up resulting in the same breakpoints as Blaze Away anyways. The only time Blaze Away is a little bit better is for boss damage, but most of the time that I'm playing this weapon, unless I'm in a 3-veg and I like dump my ammo and then I'm about to shoot into a Plague Ogre or a Chaos Spawn, whatever it is, I'm not getting the full effects of the extra 20% strength scaling anyways, personally. In real play, I just don't think it's as relevant as people think it is. It also just offers more ease of use because, like, let's say you're at, let's say you're like here, right? And you have to fight some things with your melee, blah, blah, blah. And then, someone comes out, you just swap and immediately you're getting the strength increase anyways, which allows you to pull off that 1 shot without shooting twice. So I think for ease of use and consistent damage, the other part of it too is I did a bunch of testing on bosses. Because you can more reliably keep this up at high peril with Gets Hot, and obviously there's a ton of variance to this, and if someone wants to do the overwhelming amount of math that would be required to point out, an average between the crit chance, the strength scaling per shot, and everything else on bosses. Anecdotally, and in my very rudimentary testing of just counting up DPS numbers for an hour, these 2 things at optimal heat level outpaces Blaze Away at 0% a majority of the time. And for me personally, like I said, in optimal play and in real play, where you're a lot of the time hovering at 60%, you don't have the opportunity to get as many shots off with Blaze Away to really make it meaningful anyways. Or you just want that initial strength increase so that you can get your 1-shot breakpoint on a couple targets or 2-shot breakpoint on a couple targets. This just seems like it's more reliable and ease of use and good. I don't know. Technically speaking, mathematically, this is better. But like your actual use case for this is a lot lower, and this is a lot more annoying to use, and it's less consistent in dangerous situations sometimes. I don't think anything else is really worth running. I had someone tell me to use Power Blast so that you can get more reliable 1-shots on Crushers with Charge Shot, but if you're using Focus Target anyways, you 1-shot them without crit. without carapace. So I think that's a bit of a meme, and you're not, you know, charging any other enemies for optimal play other than maybe bulwarks as a conversation, but I think it's still unoptimal, and all my testing doesn't result in better TTKs. So heat generation doesn't really matter. This is the other one that a lot of people talk about lately. It only on average, if you're starting at 0, is giving you like 3 to 6, sometimes 7 shots on average. Testing showed about 4. So it feels kind of pointless to me. You know, you could sit in peril for a little bit longer, get maybe 1 or 2 more shots off because you're getting, you know, higher crit chance, and that could be a conversation. It might even be better than Rising Heat in certain circumstances, but I value the breakpoints better. I would say maybe if you weren't using Focus Target, there's a conversation that this is better than Rising Heat and Blaze Away, but I think with this particular build, it just seems kind of pointless. Nothing else here really matters, so that's really your only options. End of the day, the differences between these are incredibly minimal, and if you find that this is a more consistent experience and you value getting higher boss damage out of this weapon, then that's totally fine. I think for solo play, this probably would end up being better, maybe. But I usually play with a duo who has a really good boss killer, and this weapon already shreds bosses on its own, so it really just doesn't matter in my opinion. But yeah, I just wanted to make a quick video laying out my thoughts and why I felt certain ways. I'm going to be making a settings upload in a couple days. Hopefully this was of use to someone. Sorry, it's a little bit rambly, but I didn't really have a plan. I just started recording. Anyway, take care, and thanks for watching.